The rising cost of insurance premiums can feel like the final straw. So will the opposition's threat to break up the nation's major insurers make the problem better or worse?
The insurance sector put on notice.
We're going to act on it if the insurance companies don't tidy up this mess.
The accusation that a lack of competition is driving up premiums, forcing too many Aussies to ditch their insurance altogether.
We're not going to have a situation where people can't afford insurance.
The opposition leader today flagging a possible expansion of his plan to forcibly break up the supermarket giants through divestiture powers, when a government can force companies to sell off some of their business.
If the market power of those really big companies gets too big and starts to squash competition, then the government can intervene.
Like the supermarkets, the insurance sector is dominated by a powerful few. And since 2020, home insurance premiums have surged by more than 50%, forcing 12% of Aussie households into insurance stress. Last week, insurance giant IAG recorded a half-year profit of $778 million, up 91% compared to the same time last year.
We've experienced significant inflationary pressure on everything we do. As those things are changing, which they are, that's going to be then reflected in the cost of insurance.
Today, the insurance industry hit back, saying they too have been hit hard by rising costs and increasing natural disasters.
I wish it was as simple as divestiture. As the risks increase, the number of insurers who have the capital available to cover those risks decrease.
And it's not just the insurance industry that isn't sold. Dutton's deputy backpedaling today.
I think it would be unfair to say that that was a policy announced by Peter Dutton. What he said was, don't underestimate our determination to look to pull policy levers that we have in other industries.
David Littleproud shafted the leader of his party this morning. Peter Dutton's so-called policy didn't last 24 hours.
So, as insurance premiums continue to crush struggling Aussies, is the opposition's policy...
I'm not going into internal processes.
...not policy, the silver bullet?
Economist Greg Jericho is from the Australia Institute. It's with us now. Greg, do you think the opposition's idea would make insurance cheaper or more expensive?
Oh, look, I don't think it'd make it cheaper. Whether or not it'd make it a bit more expensive, I think there is that risk, especially because one of the ways that insurers make money is by spreading their risk, and if you have smaller insurance companies, that makes it harder. I think the real problem with this is it's a bit of a disguise of what's the real problem that is causing our, especially home insurance premiums to rise, and that's climate change.
Yeah, but they're not just covering costs, are they? I mean, IAG's profits were up 91%. I mean, they are making some money here. Yeah,
I think they're definitely making some money, but one of the issues with competition isn't so much the insurance companies that we're dealing with, it's who the insurance companies go to for their insurance, their reinsurance companies. And there are not many of those around the world, and they're seeing the impacts of climate change everywhere. And it's why, for example, even the fires in LA, that actually is going to have an impact on the costs of insurance for us in Australia, because insurance companies here in Australia are going to have to pay more for their insurance, and they're going to pass that cost off. Certainly they're making money, but I don't think splitting them up is actually going to help us all that much.
So I understand the argument that climate change has an effect on insurance premiums, but the thing is we're seeing insurance just go up on everything, right? Like medical indemnities are exploding. The cost of car insurance goes up, even though the value of your car goes down every year. So, you know, it's a bit like supermarkets. There has been inflation. Like, that is true. It's underlying. But that doesn't mean there hasn't also been price gouging. And so, like, how confident would you be that that's not what's going on here?
Oh, look, I think certainly insurance companies, like pretty much all companies, I think have very much contributed to inflation through raising prices more than they need to, and I think they're perhaps using the cover of climate change to perhaps even do it more so.
So, yeah, but isn't that, though, exactly the opposition's point? Because if they're doing that, they can only really get away with that because there's a lack of competition.
Oh, I think so, but also is splitting them up going to help in this instance? I think what the government could do is put some more regulatory measures on the ability to raise prices. We see that with private health insurance. But I think one of the underlying sort of hints that we know climate change is a real factor in this is the fact that, you know, people in northwest Western Australia, in far north Queensland, in the top of Northern Territory, they pay 60 to 100% more on their house insurance premiums than we do sort of down here in the south. There's a clear impact of climate change. I don't think divestiture powers in this instance are going to have much of an impact, but that doesn't mean governments can't actually get in and say, right, we're actually going to relegate you more because clearly you've been taking advantage of customers.
Oh, Greg, thank you very much for your time.
No worries, Wally. Good to chat.